I don't know, you have some focusing point or everything is good?
Everything's good. Yeah.
Cool. Nice. That is
The,
amazing.
La Botero is
Yes.
part
Uh,
is part of it. No, no.
in the like at the penultimate stop, we're gonna
Ah,
talk about of Botero.
oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Nice. Okay, we can talking about of everything. That means that the last thing that I wanna say you is that this one is two per tips. That means that if I satisfy this expectation for visiting this beautiful city, at the end we advise you that pay between 40 or 50,000 pesos each, but that it depends on you at the end. If it's not anything else more, I can to start for show you this square that is the Simon Bolivar Square. Um, Brackets, everything in Latin America called Simon Bolivar. It's not original the names, okay, but I hope that you understand us. We close the brackets and in this first square that the first name was Major Square, the first building was over there. That is the Primacy Cathedral. I'm gonna stand up here. And in the Primacy Cathedral is just here. Is the we know that is the first place because in the journal of one conqueror called Sebastián de Belalcázar, he wrote that he was the first person who put the first stone in that cathedral when they, one day after that they came. For that reason, we know that, or we thought that here is one of our foundation points of Bogota. But to be honest, we have three theories. One is here in Simon Bolivar Square. The second one is in Santander's Park. Oof. Nice. Hello. In Santander's Park. And the third one is in the Chorro Square. We're gonna visit it, all of these places for talk about of these stories of foundation of Bogota and as well about of everything or more things in these points. The cathedral was blessed 300 years after when the Pope Leon XIII visited us, the first one, and when blessed the cathedrals, he said that I bless the cathedral, but with a condition that you need to expand it because it's pretty ugly. You need to imagine that doesn't exist the two towers that you can see already because it was finished up to 1942. Almost 400 years after that, starting the construction. No? The next part of the side, religious side, is a chapel, and in the corner, or sacred chapel is kind of a name, Capilla del Sagrario in Spanish, and in the corner is the Bishop Palace. That is the place where the bishops or cardinals when reunion for create the Catholic agenda of the country. That means that this religious side confirms that the country is 70% believe in the Catholic religion. And the balcony that you can see over there is the place where the last popes that visit us make the mass from the population of Bogota when it's here in the capital. In the corner, we can see is the Bartolome's College. That is the first institution of the kingdom from Spain when was the colonies here. I need to stop here 1 second for explain you how was the division of these kingdoms because it's existed one word in Spanish that we say virreinato. Imagine that there is like a vice kingdom, like a vice president, you know. That was a politician division, the kingdom from Spain, using in the lands of Latin America when they arriving here in 1492. The division is starting from Texas up to Panama. That is the kingdom of New Spain. The other one that was here is called in the New Granade. That was conformed with Colombia, Peru, Venezuela, some part of Ecuador. And the kingdom of the Incas is Peru, some part of Brazil, the north part of Chile, and last one is the Rio de la Plata's kingdom, that is Argentina, the rest part of Chile, and Uruguay and Paraguay. This is all of the kingdoms from Spain when they conquest these lands. In specific, the first education was from the priests in the monasteries, and it's for that that this one is not the like at the first place that giving education in these lands, but was the first institution from the kingdom of New Granade that was here in these lands. Okay, you understand the difference? Nice. It's date from 1604, and is still working, and is from the Jesuit order of the Catholic religion. In this other side, we have is the parliament. I'm gonna to stand up just here, and in the parliament, the most interesting thing that I want to show you is probably the statue. That is a person or a character that is in the middle part of the building. It's called Tomás Cipriano de Mosquera. He was a president here in Colombia from or since 1848 up to 1880. Was the first president that have passed 20 years almost for our president. Was as well the first person that proposed the building of this parliament that is the head office of our congresses. But remember that the parliament is like a 50-50 per the king, the crown, and the population. But here it don't work like this. It's only the population and the rules of the democracy, no? Executive, legislative, and judicial. This one is the legislative power, and in 1848 starting its construction, its building. I mean, but it's taking 80 years in its construction, and it's for the architecture Thomas Reed that was Spanish. He need to leave the country because we passed for a lot of civil wars. For the same reason, he preferred for preserve his life that stay here in Colombia, no? Or in the New Granada. Sorry, Colombia. Yes. This building has some nickname. Can call him the sick of the stone. No, sorry, the stone patient. Like the stone was a sick because it taking 80 years in its construction, no? From 1848 up to 1928. And the parliament only has one inspiration in Greek and Roman architecture in the middle part of the structure because Thomas Reed was the founder of this place in the beginning. But when he leave the country, he don't leave a lot of plans, and for that the rest part of the architectures needs to create another parliament, no? As well, the idea is that in this tour we can to visit the President Gardens, but this place is not all of the days open. Okay? But if it's possible today, we can to walk in over there, and I'm gonna to explain you as well what happened in the other side of this building, because the President Gardens is behind of the Parliament. Okay? We're gonna finish this stop with the stories of the rest part of the buildings that we need to talk. But after that, if we can't do inside, I'm gonna explain you the stop in the exit of this President Gardens. Okay? The other building that I want to explain you is the Lebanos Palace that is there from 1905. But before, since 1800 up to 1900, was another place called the Arublas Galleries. Arublas Galleries, imagine that was the first square here, right? Because this one is the major square, or the first place when the population of the colony development the city. That means that this place was the square where the population as well interchanged or selling their artisanies, their food, recipes, and other things. Was as well a small prison while you waiting your punishment, and was a national archive of Bogota. The thing is that in 1900 was born in the Rulas Galleries, the 36 of it, and the National Archive that we have there was born in as well the Foundation Act of Bogota. It's for that reason that we know or remember the date, 1538, but we don't know in specific the point where they started the city, no? The foundation of the city. For this building, to be honest, I like a lot because it has a lot of symbolic things. It's inspired in French architecture. When I say this thing to French people, they look me like, yes. But yes, it's inspiration, no, in French architecture. The building as well has some other symbolic things, like for example, the entrance that you can see from this side to this other corner is, if you are counting, this 36 entrance in specific. Is because remember the 36 entrance of the Arublas Galleries that was since 1800 up to 1900, right? Behind of the columns as well, you can to read in stones the most important stories from Colombia in the past and the future. That is as well, if you wanted to visit this place and spend 30 minutes, for example, is one of my good advices, because all of the most important stories really of Colombia is over there in the stones. And in the corner is probably the most tragedy story. I'm going to stand up in this other side. I don't know if you watch Narcos already. Some of you raise their hands who watch Narcos. No? Okay. 1, 2, 2. Okay. I didn't watch Narcos, but I advise some documentary called "The Holocaust when the Justice Palace." No, the Holocaust of the fighting of the Justice Palace. Um, that basically in that documentary tells us about one tragedy that happened in this building that is the most newest in this square. The recovery or the rebuilding of this place is date from 2004, but the original, the first one, is date from 1928. In we tell you about of this series because it's inside the story one person that is super famous that I didn't need to talk about, right? A lot of this character. But he's inside the story because he was a congressist here in Colombia. This narco trafficker as well is inside the story because the research, his investigation was in this place because it's the Supreme Court of Constitution of Colombia, the judicial power. As well, he invested in the army to the criminalistic group in that moment for can this group inside the place and destroy on board in the Justice Palace as well. This group is called M19 or Movement of 19 of April. I wanted to resume a little bit this story because my point is that you can see this documentary. To be honest, it's 30 minutes of this story and it's the file most important that we have with the testimony of civil people, army, of the government and the guerrillas as well. The thing is that the 6th and 7th of November of 1985, the guerrillas M19 inside this building at 5 p.m. for can to provoke the president in that moment, Belisario Betancourt, and permit that he outside here with one dialogue table and in front of the population, the government and the guerrillas can to create a new constitution of Colombia that from 1886 we never changed it in this moment, and was 1985, almost a century, right? The Belisario Betancourt doesn't agree with this procedure of the guerrillas, and for that he's sending 4 tanks for can destroy the building and over the wheels inside with the army of the government. That is without any planification. It was only violence procedures. Okay. For that reason, if you want to know the specific numbers for all of the population that die in this day or the disappeared people, the documentary as well you can confirm these numbers. But the focusing point that I want to explain you in this stuff for talking about this tragedy is that the new constitution and the extradition files as well that was born in that day, because that is another theory that is included this narco-trafficking person, it was signed up to 1991 the new constitution, and the extradition file was signed up to 2002. But we giving to this place or to this story as well the way to the peace process in Colombia, because the guerrillas is born in 1957 in specific, but the first peace process born in 1991 in the new constitution of Colombia, the first peace process was when the guerrillas M19 changed the army, for the constitution, right? For he can to participate like a political party here in Colombia. You need to know that in Colombia after the independence, 20th of July, that was yesterday, up to 1991, Colombia only works with 2 political parties, rights and lefts, and conservadores and liberales, the specific names, okay? But was 170 years in specific time that they spent in Colombia for can to create a new political parties in this new constitution that from the guerrillas, in this case is Unión Patriótica, and the government created another one called Cambio Radical. In the decade of the 90s, this new political party, Unión Patriótica, was following and killing from the same government, and for this reason is that up to 2014 we have the most important peace process with the guerrillas called FARC. That is probably the most famous peace process that in the world known. Again, I don't know, I let you. Again, the focusing point here is that the way of the peace process starting after of the fighting of the Justice Palace. That is probably the most important thing that happened here, and we know that it's after of a tragedy, right? But for the same reason, just over there, in the corner, you can see as well one apology from the government to the families that happened with this tragedy, no? I don't know if you have questions so far about it, no? Okay, our independence started in that house. In 1810 in specific. We are the only country in Latin America that has two independence, in 1810 and in 1820. In 1820, the 7th of August in specific, but yesterday was the 20th July of the 1810 independence, okay? Why? Because in specific in that house living a duke called Llorente, that was an important person from Spain, and he, when someone important from the Spain crown visited us as well from the kingdom, Llorente received him with, or received them with a lot of food, a dinner, and a ceremony with a cup flower in specific, like a symbolic welcome. The criollos, I want to know if you know who is the population that we call criollos here in Latin America. No? Not yet? The criollo people is the population that, or the first and second generation of the population that born here in Latin America but has parents from Spain. This population is people that has good resources, is people that has as well good political positions in the kingdom, and for that reason as well has slaves. The criollos was as or has some motivation for becoming a kingdom, in the kingdoms here in Latin America. But for only born here in Latin America, the kings in Spain, Guillermo VII or Carlos IV, doesn't permit it to these criollos to participate in highest positions for Spain. No, for that we are Spanish, but for only 50-50. You know, for the same reason the criollos create a region, for can create a group and provoke it to Llorente, for can let the flower to one criollo, for receive a some criollo called Antonio Villa de Leyva, that he wanted to bring some market to the Rulas Galleries that was over there. But Llorente said no because he was a criollo, and that was the provocation that all of these people wanted to care from the mouth of Llorente, for can with the force to the flower.
No, no.
Thank you.
Just yeah. Lo siento.
For the okay, give me a second. And outside from in front of the square and destroy it in front of everybody. That it was a provocation and was planified. Is for that reason that we know that starting the independence with that provocation of the cup flower. For that the house that is over there calling the 20 July Museum, or like the cup flower house, because was grateful to this cup flower that, or the symbolic welcoming that was destroying with the welcome that Llorente doesn't give the welcome to the criollos. Starting with 1810 specific this battle, but it was up to 1813 that we finally can do freedom or independence these first lands here where we are, that is Bogota. Bogota in specific is around of one region called Cundinamarca. Cundinamarca is one of the 6 regions conformed Colombia, with Orinoquia, Antioquia, Valle Caldas, Amazonia, and as well the islands, that is San Andres y Providencia, that is insular region. The Cundinamarca region in specific has one president that called Antonio Nariño. That is the statue that is behind of this palace. If it's possible and we can to see the president gardens, we in this moment gonna walk in through there. Okay? I don't know if you have questions so far. No? Okay. Please come with me and
Buenos días. Sí.
without this, right?
Yeah.
Nice, thank you. Have some troubles with this. Okay, welcome to this President Gardens that has the name as well of Nunez Gardens because, or for this president called Rafael Nunez. That is the second long president in our story, late 1880 up to 1810. He spent 10 years in his period of president's period, I mean. And Rafael Nunez as well was the founder of the national anthem of Colombia. That is the second one most beautiful in the world in our ranking. I don't know, but I thought. That is a subjective point, no? The one thing that I can to explain you better about of this place is that as well there is the Nariño's Palace, that is the President Garden. Sorry, the President House is the place where live Gustavo Petro, the actual president, and there is the office of the president as well. It has Nariño's name because this person that is in this statue called Antonio Nariño is the first president of these lands when was independence in the first one, no, in 1810. Antonio Nariño was the person that translated the human rights from France after of the French Revolution, and he published this translation in 1792. In the first newspaper from here called La Galeta. This newspaper, you can imagine, or this publishment was really important because the creators can to figure out one new perspective of freedom here in the lands of Latin America. Obviously, when publishment the newspaper was put in a jail because he was a rebel from the kingdom, no? Up to 1810, that was broken the cup flower in this other house that I told you in the last stop, and just in this moment, Antonio Nariño can escape to the prison, take a horse, and fighting as well with the independence. He was the first president in Cundinamarca, this region that was freedom in the center point of Colombia, and as well was the first one in population votes. But the story is different in the north part of Colombia. That is because in this other side, living another person like Camilo Torres or as well Jorge Tadeo Lozano, that was as well criollos, but they thought in a federalistic politicians here in the freedom lands of the after of the kingdom, no, after of the colony. The thing is that Antonio Nariño wanted to focus in the power only here in Colombia, like a centralistic power in the politician, and they starting a fight for can to decide this new perspective politician power here in the lands that was freedom in the battles of the 1810 or from 1810. The Antonio Nariño was as well this person or this character that leading up to 1823, that was after the second independence, and he died with some words that said, in the first time, I trying to translate, in the first time I prefer that we focus in the power in Bogota, because we are not really free, because we only change our owners to another ones. We are, the first one was Spanish and the second one was the same criollos, because was not from the population, right? But after and he said that after the second independence, the freedom idea was finally finished with the last battle of Boyacá, that was grateful to Simón Bolívar. And in this moment, we can given to the freedom to all of these lands because we are free already. And he changed his mind for that. He preferred a new federalistic point here, but doesn't this idea doesn't exist because always the focusing power was here in Bogota. Okay, but it's interesting that he changed his mind as well, like with one argument, no? The President House or Nariño's house is here at 3 p.m. the Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. If you are here at 2 p.m., you can to see when the guards change or switch the shift. And obviously, it's with a ceremony, really gorgeous. Here is the another parliament because it's the new one. You need to imagine that the Congress is inside from this building, from the square, and it's the back side of the parliament, and this one is the front side. And they outside from here, like this woman, for example, outside from this side, and there is another filter. It's like the security filters for can inside the regions of the congresses and or the representative camera of of the country. Um, and this other place that probably you can see like a white tower. This one is the first astronomy place here in Latin America. To be honest, the most important is in Chile, but this one is the first one. They from 1882. That is really important from us because, as well, is the place where starting the maths career here in Bogota in the National University of Bogota. I don't know if you have questions so far. No? Okay, we can to continue for talk about of the or show you the other statue that was the fighter of Antonio Nariño that has this federalistic idea in the north part of Colombia. Where you wanna go after Bogota? Talento. You want the coffee shop? Yeah. Me too. And Cocora Valley? You know Cocora Valley already? Yeah. Or name it? To be honest, yes, it's a beautiful place. For example, if you have the Argentine currency, the 100 pesos, 100,000 pesos, there is the Cocora Valley as well. For you can imagine it. You have one perspective. Without and after that, the same crowd.
Yeah. Principales y las ciudades bien lejanas. Están allá y uno sabe que están allá en ese punto nada más y llegan y lo
Alright, look, this point is, to be honest, is small, only because I want to show you is Camilo Torres' statue. That is, this one is the fighter against Antonio Nariño for can to decide the division politic here in Colombia. In specific, the story, to be honest, is amazing when you have the other side, no? When you visit Medellin, Cartagena, Bucaramanga, Barranquilla, and if you found some tour there that talking about the independence, probably they're talk you about the same independence but with different perspective, no? Because there is like a, hey, Antonio Nariño want to focus on the power in Bogota and they want to giving us the some part of this constitution, no? Of power here. That is interesting because again the country has a lot of diversity with all of the cultures. And Camilo Torres, it was a fighter of this division of politics and unfortunately to these battles was reconquest up to 1815. That is because we have 2 periods of independence because these people, the Antonio Nariño and Camilo Torres, came to decide a new political perspective here in these lands. And Guillermo VIII, the king in Spain in that moment, decided to reconquer us for our history in our civil wars. And Camilo Torres was killed just there in this square, and it's for that your statue is just over there as well. In the cathedral is after that Camilo Torres and Antonio Nariño died, his body is in this case in the cathedral, the famous Cathedral of Colombia. Other thing that is interesting is that both charters, to be honest, is really important because without Camilo Torres, the country can't do freedom in the north part of Colombia, and without Antonio Nariño, the central part of Colombia can't do freedom as well. So that is here in this square that we have all of the probably most important characters about of our story in this square, okay? That is calling as well the administrative center of Colombia, because we are reunite here the three roots of the democracy. The Nariño's Palace, that is the President House, is the executive, the legislative is this one, and the judicial is the constitution just over here, no? We're gonna walking through the Carrera Séptima that is starting just here. This one is Carrera Séptima is like at the avenue, okay? Here in Colombia, and to be honest, here is super easy to orient in the city because when you visit Medellin, you know what I mean. We have only one hill to our east, but Medellin is a valley, a run of mountains. That is a little bit more difficult to get location. But here, for example, if you right hand look the mountain, your face look the north. And sorry for giving the back, but if your left hand show the mountain, your face look the south. And another way for thinking is that the mountain and the airport is the east and the west, you know? But the CL, just like you see behind, is the calle, and the KR is the carrera. The CL is the way that going to the mountain or going to the airport, and the CR or here, sorry, is the way that going next to the mountain. Okay, we're gonna walk into the Carrera Séptima, that is the most important in the city because it's the way that Simón Bolívar, the person or the character that is in the center of the square, took for can arrive to this point in the major square. Before that, they won the last battle and screamed the independence, finally the last independence here in Colombia. It's for that reason that we can do walking a pedestrian way for 20 blocks, or you can do shopping while you enjoy the way, no? Or that is the idea. No? When I was 7 years old, my mom asked me if I wanted to make something called septimazo, and I thought that was a funny part or something like that with an ice cream. And yeah, I was 7 years old. Imagine you with 7 years old. And when I arriving here to the downtown, I figured out that the septimazo, that is like septima, seventh, or that translate, it's the name that the Bogotanos people use it for walking through the Carrera Séptima while make shopping. Okay, you can imagine my face that it was not a funny part, no? But that is the idea that you enjoy this way with these 20 blocks. And at the end, it's not finished because you're gonna arrive into the second most important park in Bogota called Centenary's Park. And next to the Centenary's Park is the Planetarium of Bogota. And if you walk in a little bit more, it's like 2 blocks more, you're gonna find is the National Museum, the first one in Colombia, and as well the second, in my favorite personal opinion, to be honest. I don't know if you have questions so far? No? Okay. We can do walking through the Carrera Séptima and make the septimazo.
Este país se ha llamado más la cara, pero yo ya.
Sí, vente abajo.
No se puede ir a poner una demanda porque eso es discriminación.
show you that this one is the Independence House, right? This one is one of the most oldest house here in Bogota. It has 500 years, almost, and it's a museum. The it costs 8,000 pesos per person, and the interesting thing in Colombia is that the last Sunday in all of the months, all of the museums in Colombia is free. The next one, no, in 2 more, it's this Sunday. If you are here in the country, I hope that you can enjoy it. Come with me. Okay, in this moment, I'm going to show you this tree that is Yaromos tree. In specific, this tree is not normally at ground here in Bogota because we are in 2,700 meters over the water, but the tree ground normally at 1,100 meters over the water. The tree is normally ground from all of the Central America and up to the middle part of Colombia to the up. So, why is here? Because in the most important street in Bogota, we're gonna remember you that is the capital of Colombia. That's means that we are around, or if we are in the starting point, normally, for you can to visit the west part of Colombia and know all of the diversity cultures that you can find here. For example, in the Pacific Coast in specific, living one indigenous called Quimbayas, as well Cogis, another one called Mambes, Emberas, and in specific, all of these cultures using this tree with the bad famous tree as well called coca tree. Please don't do this unhealthy because the indigenous using this ancient plantain in all of the Andes hills for camping better while walking through the hills, right? The idea with these indigenous from the Pacific coast is that using this another tree as well for making another substance, okay? But it's not psychotropical, okay? From the first point, it's not psychotropical. The substance is that you mix the grind
leaf of the coca and the ashes leaf of the yarumo, and that giving to you one green dust. As well, the indigenous making another substance with the tobacco called ambil, that is a black cream. Both is for can create a ritual. Okay, and in this stuff, I wanted to give to you one of these rituals of the oral indigenous. The ritual called mambe. The mambe is that, please imagine us that we are around of a jungle. And we are indigenous, right? It's close to the night or the sunset, and we complete our homework for our community, right? But we need to talk. We probably can't have some tranquil life because we have some annoying problem with some of the community, or probably our couple is not with us, something like that, no? Like problems about the community, not the population, normally days. But they wanted to create community, no? That is the first idea. For that, they say that at night we need to do mambe. And mambe is that everyone reuniting in a circle in a house from a straw that was put with 4 sticks that represented the 4 elements: fire, water, earth, and wind. And in the middle of the circle, under this house, we share this substance. The green dust, put it in the middle in the cheek and the tooth, and the black cream is in the. Can you help me with the word? I don't know what is the name of this part behind your tooth, but in the top. This.
Palate.
Thank you.
Hard palate.
Yes, this area. Okay. Thank you so much. Sorry for I don't know this word. In this area, you need to. The ritual is like that. You need to has the mambe, that is this green dust, is calling the soft word, and the cream is the soft dough. And you need to put or take both for you to talk. And if someone wanna talk again, you need to give him both, because the mambe is the wife and the ambil is the husband. And it's in any time is one without the other one. Okay? This one is the ritual. As well the explanation is the ritual. Okay? The idea is that, again, doesn't matter who talk. The idea is that everyone knows what we're gonna talk. And if, for example, is my problem with my couple, yes, and I need to talk about it, but I can't because I have this feeling that pressure me, right? But for example, you have the reason, have the word, and you have the ambil and the mambe, and you say the word that I need to hear is not for me, it's for everybody, because we need our words and our community together. Okay, that is the ritual again. I advise you that if you want to visit some of these indigenous that we have 7 survived in all of that, Colombia, because we have, to be honest, 120 indigenous cultures registered in Colombia, but only 7 survive because we have the language, the rituals, and the dresses. And in this indigenous culture, especially, they're using the word medicine for this kind of rituals, like ademambe. Another one is the most common or the most famous, for example, in social media, like arepeyote, ayahuasca, or mushrooms. But I want to advise you this, for example, if you want to sign a connection experience with the indigenous here in Colombia, in specific because the mambe is not psychotropical. The most thing that's gonna be take you is that it's leaving you this area of your mouth. That is because for that you need to wait in most time for decide the words that you need to say it or thinking better, no? Probably for that. But again, this one is one of the rituals of these indigenous and one of the knowledge of these cultures only because we have this tree here. All of this knowledge outside of this tree. I don't know if you have questions so far. Okay? They come with me. Guayus, blacks, that is normally these ones. The pattern of the needle that you're gonna see there normally identify one of these indigenous cultures from the Pacific coast, the north, or the south. It depends. For talking about that different point, the original bag from the indigenous is a small one because there is the function that the indigenous use for saving the apocalypse. But the biggest one is more for marketing, it's commercial. It's useful as well, but you need to know that if you want the original from the indigenous is from this other side is the small ones, okay? Or well, when you find. Well, in the winter or autumn, probably is like this, no?
Yeah, sure, we have some rain back home, also in summer. It's not here, but then it's never
So
rain.
cloudy. And as well, there
In Ireland, it rains every day.
Okay, we are, well, to be honest, if you figure out, it's pretty similar to these zones of Europe that is cloudy, no? Or
Yeah,
like you say,
yeah,
that
yeah.
rain every day. To be honest, you can imagine that country where it's around of mountains, the economy, the transport of the food is pretty difficult. All of the bureaucracy for the papers and take some lands is as well difficult because you need to arrive yes or yes here for Kansai and everything with the government. Why is here? Because the conquerors when arriving here and arrived first to Santa Marta, the second city most important in Latin America, the second founded after Santo Domingo in Dominican Republic, was decided that focusing here the capital because here was a weather similar to the Europe without all of the bugs and the healings or six that can be given the Amazon's area or as well the north side in the Caribbean coast. It's for that reason that decided the capital here in Bogota in specific. It's interesting, yes. Okay, but we are here for talk about the second theory of foundation point of Bogota. This is because here in the Santander Park that is calling this place square was the indigenous places before, calling Muiscas in specific. Muiscas, this first indigenous, or the second one that I told you, the first one, the Quimbayas and Verdes. They living here in this square and he was calling the herbs square for them because was the place where they exchange or selling as well artisanies, herbs for medicine or as well recipes for cooking. As well, the details, interesting points is that, for example, the word salary, you know where or why we call to the payment salary? No? Because yes, it's for the salt, but it's because the indigenous, the currency was the salt. Okay, salary. Nice. Salario in Spanish as well. And in French, I think that is the same. The word is the same. The conquerors are when arriving here, specifically where is that building over there, was making first a small chapel calling the Humiliation Chapel. This one was the building that the indigenous inside, but with one cosmovision and went outside with another one. That means that here, in other words, was the evangelization or the colony. To be honest, the procedure of the colonization is starting here in Bogota, and for that reason, we thought that here is the most strong foundation theory that we have for Bogota. 20 years after arrived the second religious order in Latin America called San Franciscan people. The first one was the Dominican, and for the same reason, Dominican Republic. San Francisco's people making the three churches that is over there in that side of the square. It's three churches, one next to the other one. To be honest, it's super weird. Not normally in all of the world, but in especially in Latin America, or that a way for making church in Latin America is one replication in the procedure of the colony in all of these lands. Because imagine like a Rome. Rome, when expanding, was with a free spiritual ways in all of the lands that was arrived in Roma. But even if you have free your spiritual way or your belief, you have in your center point of the square Romulo and Remus symbol with the wall. It's the same idea. You stay or the population living in the same place, but the symbols changes. That is the one procedure for can create a colony. And happen the same thing here. For example, the San Francisco Church, in another opportunity when you can, to be honest, it's interesting to visit all of them. It's not possible at the same time, or pretty difficult because the schedules is not at the same time, the mass is in different schedules. But this one, if you research in Google, gonna say you that is the most beautiful church in all of Latin America because it's making of gold. And don't imagine that is the walls and the roofs washing in gold. No, it's, to be honest, inside with a lot of gold. For the same reason, the prohibition is don't take pictures inside with or without flash. It's a heritage of Colombia, and as well, weird thing is that there you're gonna find in security orders. That is because, unfortunately, some people inside for scrap the gold and steal it. For that, all of the days you're gonna see sometime is in some moment the guards say, "Hey, please leave the church," because it's someone like. Okay, but this one is like the topics that you can see inside there. But it's interesting the other two because the white one that called the Truce Cross or La Veracruz in Spanish is making with silver. And well, my question is that what do you imagine that is making the last one? If it's this one with gold, this one with silver, bronze. What do you guess? No? Okay, bronze.
Bronze.
No, everyone bronze. No. Okay, this one is from wood. But to be honest, in my personal opinion, is most beautiful this one. It's most small, most humility, humility, humility. Yes. And but the work of the craft work from these artisaners that making the wood over there is amazing. It's huge, super gorgeous. To be honest, I really advise you that if you can visit one of them, the most important probably is the San Francisco with gold. But in my personal opinion, the third one is most beautiful. We can close this speaking for the foundation point of Bogota and starting for the second part of the independence. We have in the center part of the square one statue from Santander, Francisco de Paula Santander, a friend from Simón Bolívar that they meet in France and they're starting the ideas of revolution or independence here in Latin America. In specific, Santander born here in Bogota and Simón Bolívar in Caracas, Venezuela. Everything is from the same kingdom, New Granade in this case, no? And they was criollos. For introducing specifically the second part of the independence, I want to talk about of one woman called Policarpa Salabarrieta. Policarpa was adopted woman from Spanish parents, and she born in Huasca, Cundinamarca, a town per 30 minutes from here in Bogota. To be honest, it's really beautiful if you want to visit it. And Policarpa, the adopted mother of Policarpa has a house in the top part of the hill in the Candelarias neighborhood. Andrea Ricardo de Lozano, that is that her called, she was a really important criolla, and when the army from the kingdom reunited for can to talk about of the of the strategies of these lands from the New Granade Kingdom. They reunited in this house from Andrea Ricardo de Lozano. And Policarpa Salabarrieta was one of the women that in that epoch know read and write, and she used all of this knowledge for can participate in the independence here in Colombia. She dressing like a housekeeping lady, and in the house of her adopted mother, while was reuniting the army of the kingdom, she spied them like mopping behind of a door, and she listened everything. After that, the Simón Bolívar and Santander reuniting the same house because Andrea Ricardo de Lozano wanted to help as well to the freedom in these lands. For that, everything was prepared in the same house. The army visited the house, speak everything that they want, and Policarpa listen for after speak with Santander and Simón Bolívar and talk about the independence. Policarpa Salabarrieta has this job like a spy since 1815 up to 1817. She was discovered and was put in jail, and after she was killed with 20 years old. It was pretty young, and in fact, she last words I try to translate is, I am a pretty and young, but with the need, value and to will for can fight 1 and 1,000 times more for the freedom and independence. And she is our hero. One of our heroes. In specific, we have two memories for never forget her. The first one is in the last currency of us, or the last family of our currency. In the 10,000 bill was her over there. If you found it, it's still working the value of 10,000 pesos. But if you found it, to be honest, I prefer that you save it because it has more symbolic value. The second one is, I don't know if you like beer. Sorry, the stereotype of Iron. I like as well the beer. To be honest, I don't know, but when you visited all of Latin America, you're gonna find that different population naming the beer with different, or calling to the beer with different names. Like for example, Mexico, chela, or in Argentina is birra for the Italy's migrations. No? But here we call him like the nickname of Policarpa for never forget her. That is La Bola. That means that here in Colombia, my invitation is that in your next opportunity that you buy your beer, ask to the seller, hey, give me a pola please, or dame una pola por favor. Okay? Everyone's here in the country can understand you. That is my one invitation for you. Can inside our culture, no? I don't know if you have questions so far. No? Okay. Well, Santander and Simón Bolívar making the independence 7 of August of 1890 in specific. This one is the last independence here in Colombia and was for conforming the idea of country called the Big Colombia. That was the idea conforming with Venezuela, Ecuador, and Colombia. When the independence leave the colors of the flags, for that is similar. The last one is the territory of Panama that was in 1903. The reason was because United States invested in the Canal of Panama, but with the condition that the territory of Panama that was from Colombia need to independence. For that, Panama has is the colors most similar to the United States flag. And the Colombia's country, or the first president of Colombia was Simón Bolívar, but in the idea of Colombia, right? The second independence, because the first one was Antonio Nariño. This president was autoproclaimed. Simón Bolívar said that he was the president and was like that for 10 years. He died for tuberculosis in Santa Marta in 1830, and Santander was the second president in the storyline of Colombia, the third one, yes, Antonio Nariño, and was the second one in the for population's vote. His house was just over here, where we are. But for a heritage, we preserved up to 1950. That passing some earthquakes, and for that was falling the house. But the government take it for making the Golden Museum, the most important museum in Colombia. That is just in the corner. Okay. The Golden Museum is not the only museum that is in this square. My bonus in this stop is that just there in this building, that is dated from 1969, the Airlines of Colombia, Avianca, was finished at the same time of this Golden Museum, 1969. And there in the Avianca's building, in the 23rd floor, you can find is the International Emerald Museum in Colombia. It's not national, it's international. Why? Because remember that this emerald or precious stone is normally is explored from South Africa, Brazil, and Colombia. And the most precious and values was found in here in Colombia. Just over there in the 23rd floor, you're gonna find in the stories, like in the caves that is from Musu, Boyacá, sorry, the area where it's exploded, and where the details that you have the reasons for figure out which one is more valued than another one. No, the three reasons, to be honest, I don't know a lot, but is that you need to have a green color, really darkness, need to be shine. And the third one is like a quartz that you see inside that looks like a crystals. Yes, need to have as well this propriety. Okay, but they're gonna to explain you better. Both museums cost 5,000 pesos per person. Remember the condition of the last Sunday in the month. Yes, as well working with these museums. But if it's not 5,000 pesos per person, and it's closed the Mondays. In a specific condition there. Or if you don't like a lot of the emeralds, well, it's the 23rd floor. You have one of the most fantastic views of Bogota in this floor as well for your landscape. And in the Golden Museum, my advice is that inside directly to the museum and go to the end of the corridor, take the elevator that you have to your left, and go directly to the third floor. There is the collection of the gold. The second floor is the story of the irons, that is how the indigenous using the irons here in these lands, how they is a professional goldsmiths. You're gonna see gold, but not a lot. Is all of the collection in the third one. And the first one is souvenir shops and a restaurant. It's a little bit annoying that you're inside and starting to up the stairs and where is the gold? That means that starting the museum from the third one up to the sub, because in the sub is ceramics, okay? The collection of the Golden Museum is conformed with 35,000 pieces of gold and 25,000 pieces of ceramic. It's as well divided in 6 golden museums in all of the country: Medellin, Cali, Cartagena, Popayán, Pasto, and Bogota. Here is the most part of the collection, and for that is the most important piece of gold that the government of Colombia found in these lands. I don't know. Do you have questions so far? No? Okay. Can you help me with one pronunciation? Harvest is like when you can do putting seeds in the land, right? Okay. Nice. Come with me, please. You can see this building, right? Okay, if you ask it, the Aviancas building is the sixth one most highest in Colombia. But just over there, this one is the most highest in Colombia, the first one, and it's called in Bacata. Bacata means the lands, the harvest lands, okay? Or like a translation, la tierra de la labranza, that is the harvest, okay? But in specific, the only interesting point that has the building is the name, because it's the original name of these lands for the indigenous, for the Muiscas. After that was Bogota, right? But the other part of the building is ghost building, to be honest. It has 71 floors and only up to the 15th floor up there water. It's a gym in the first floors and a supermarket as well. And up to the 15th floor is some Airbnbs and residential houses, the apartments. But the rest part of the building, you can see there is a tower, and it's gonna be 2, but it's not there. And this tower is not finished. It's a bankruptcy project. You need to imagine it was in 2017 they started the process of the procedure for building this build, but in 2020 everything knows what happened, no? The pandemic. And all of these companies that investing in this project, most of them need to put it in bankruptcy for the same reason. For that, in this moment, still the procedure for Can to buy in the second person most rich in Colombia, called Jorge Gilinski, that is owner from banks and as well some, I don't know if you know, a plastic shirts that called Remax. No? Well, if you look one plastic shirt called Remax in one house of Colombian people, normally of us has one of these shirts. Okay, it's super cultural as well, but it's grateful to this character. No, it's not for anything that is the second person most rich in Colombia. Well, that is the story of Bacata. Or we can to complete the story in this square. We can